Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Heat Wave. 32 teams in 32 days, and we are breaking down every single fantasy-relevant player for the upcoming season. Today, we are focusing on the New Orleans Saints. I'm your host, the Fantasy Plug, and editor of the Fantasy Football by BRoto app and BrotoFantasy.com, Tim Petropoulos. I am joined by my brother Michael, the king of this fantasy thing, and lead analyst for BRoto, and fresh from the motherland, back home. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
Yasu of Themios.
Michael just been in Greece, so he's looking sun-kissed and beautiful and ready to break this thing down. Also, I'm joined by the Fantasy Encyclopedia, one of the best on-his-toes stats guys that I've ever met in my life, the Dynasty Don, Mr. Matt Ward, Psych Ward FF, of course. What's good, brother?
Everything's good. Life is wonderful.
Oh, man, you got to love that because fantasy season's around the corner. What's not to love? And
Yes, sir.
speaking of love, the smoothest man, the smoothest name ever. I feel like I didn't say his name correctly. Santiago Casanova. Oh, my
What
God.
up?
Oh, my God, just oozes.
Yeah.
Oozes sex. And he's the genius of fantasy. He's the BRoto lead data analyst and developer of the Fantasy Football by BRoto app. Speaking of that app, you can download it for free. All the way free now. Free everywhere you download apps, and it's the only tool you need to become your own expert. It is time right now. It is time to have this app. I promise you will give yourself an edge in your fantasy season because within this app, what you get is fantasy player cards, which is basically every single stat you need about a player in one place. Then you get fantasy player grades, a BRoto exclusive, usage charts, a start-sit tool during the season, and a who to draft tool right now. That's right. Right now, we give you percentages. What's the likelihood that this person will be better than the other person? No one else is giving you that. Player comps, consistency charts, game logs, coaching tendencies, articles, podcasts, rankings, waivers, and the main use of the thing, advanced stats. Every single stat you need, all in one place. The easiest place to get it, right here. And that includes exclusive stats, true throw value, true target value, true performance value, adjusted air yards, and true matchup rankings. This app is free because of our patrons over at patreon.com/BrotoFantasy. A big thank you. You are literally the greatest people ever. We love you. Right now, support the show, the app, and join the best community in the world for only $3 a month. You get an extra Waiver Show, access to BRoto Leagues, proven DFS cash game optimizers, access to cheat sheets, private team consultations, the most unique fantasy tournaments in the world, the one that we just started, the Unlimited League, where it is all flex and 2 super flex where you can start anyone you want positionless. It is going to be absolute mayhem, and it is only for our BRoto listeners. Not only that, we're going to be going over that game. That's the best part about it. We're going to be talking about it as if we are Sports Center for that league. And it's going to be amazing. And we want you to be part of it and join Patreon to play in a league that's not only super fun with great people, but you also get to listen every week to a recap of what's going on in your league. I don't know if I wasn't the guy doing it, I would be interested in it. I'm just saying that. And of course, access to the greatest community in the world, the BRoto community on Discord.
And Tim,
go ahead, Michael.
To add one more, the best ball guide.
Oh, how could we forget the best ball guide, Michael? We searched near, far, and everywhere in between for someone who had a better advance rate, which means teams that were in the top 2 of each league, right? Basically cashed out. That's the guy. Michael had the highest advance rate of anyone that we could have seen. Anyone. There's been no one who can match it. And he wrote a best ball guide to do it. If you are a patron, you get it absolutely for free. If not, it's also $15 you can get it at BrotoFantasy.com. And with that being said, let's get into the New Orleans Saints. The offensive outlook. This is the first year for, yes, Matt, a noted Saints fan. So let's see what he has to say about his beloved Saints. First year for Dennis Allen, the former defensive coordinator. But it's hard to say that this is the first year because everything else is exactly the same. He basically brought they're trying to continue Sean Payton's tenure without Sean Payton being there, including offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael, who is in his 13th season as offensive coordinator for the Saints. He's been there since 2009. So the same offense is in play. Last year, they were 19th in points per game, but they had a lot of quarterback issues, a lot of injury issues on the offensive side. They ran the ball just over 50% of the time, which was the third most in the NFL. That was a big change in the way that you saw the Saints operate. And the O-line going into the season is ranked 21st at the time of this recording. I'm sorry, according to PFF, ranked 21st. At the time of this recording, Trevor Penning not looking so good. Coming at the
that's
first
not.
round
I don't
pick.
want to talk. Can we not talk about that?
The additions: wide receiver Jarvis Landry, quarterback Andy Dalton, and tight end Chris Herndon. The rookies: Chris Olave in the first round and Trevor Penning, the guy we just talked about, also in the first round. And their subtractions: wide receiver Kenny Stills, running back Ty Montgomery, and the big one, Teron Armstead. Every time I say Teron Armstead, it's like a tongue twister for me. I can't say it.
I don't know how you can't pronounce the best left tackle in football's name.
No, I mean I can, but I just can't say it in a row. I can't.
Tim, you also
my
just
accent
can't
doesn't allow me
say-
to say Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead.
That's so funny.
I don't know why I can't say it in a row. Anyway.
What a beast of a
Armstead,
man.
Mr. Armstead, the man himself.
It's a big loss.
Right. I mean, he had injury issues. So the Saints have been playing without him for a while, kind of throughout these seasons, but never a full season without him. And, it's a big loss. So with that being said, let's get into the quarterback, because right now we don't know exactly what's going down with the quarterback situation. Jameis Winston is hurt. They're being very cryptic with the hurt situation. Matt is going like this. Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston. It looks like Jameis Winston's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. It seems like that more and more every day. So let's assume that Jameis Winston is healthy going into the year. How are we feeling about the quarterback situation here with New Orleans, Mike?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you the same Matt, like, come on, look about Jameis being injured.
I'm
Jameis
giving the
will be
people
fine.
the information that is out there. Well, I'm doing my job, all right?
Sure, fine. But anywho, look,
Toronto
Jameis, Jameis is going to be the starting quarterback this year for the New Orleans Saints. He was a very volatile fantasy asset last year during his time as a healthy quarterback. He had a QB3 and QB6 performance 2 of the first several weeks, but also had 3 finishes outside the top 24. The issue was that Jameis is no longer that gunslinging 400-plus yard, 30 touchdown, 30 interception guy that he was in Tampa when he was a top 5 QB option. He was a much more conservative, and the Saints were winning with that style of play, so I don't expect it to change too much. 4 of his 7 games, he threw for less than 150 passing yards. Even his best fantasy finish last season, he threw for only 148 yards in week 1. He just also happened to throw for 5 touchdowns. Look, he's an unquestioned starter going into the season, but I think game manager Winston is going to remain this season for the Saints. They have it's a very similar offense, like you said, Tim. They still have Kamara. They have Michael Thomas returning. Hopefully, Chris Olave is new, but the offense shouldn't look too different. I think Jameis Winston's going to be more of a game manager type guy again. He'll have his big games. He'll have his bad games. I'm not targeting him in 1 QB leagues at all. In 2 QB leagues, he'll be a volatile QB2. But generally, you could just skip over Jameis if you're in a typical redraft 1 QB league.
I disagree.
Oh,
yeah, I disagree.
We got 2 disagrees. Go ahead.
You guys are bugging.
Who?
Let him have. Who's
Cass, you go first, because I might sound a little biased. So you go.
All right. So saying the offense hasn't changed with the top 3 receivers are completely different is a little bit naive, man. Because you got MT back, Olave, and then Jarvis Landry is very solid vet who's going to give him more weapons. Because who was he throwing to last season? Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harty, and what was the
Deontay Harris,
Traquan Smith.
Change his name. Harris to Harty.
Yeah.
Yes. Juwan Johnson.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Well, that was the second tight end. Adam Troutman, Traquan Smith. That rounds out the depth chart.
Traquan Smith.
I wasn't comparing the offensive.
Lil Jordan
talent,
Humphreys.
Really. Right.
Humphrey.
I get the style, Lil Jordan Humphreys, but
More so the style of
you
play,
got 3 hopefully good receivers now, and I think he has potential. I think that this might be the resurgence of Jameis after a couple of bad situation years.
I could see a QB 16, 17-ish finish. That's why I said a 2 QB league, sure. But I don't know. I don't see Jameis.
You're gonna have to wait for
maybe you could stream every now and then, but no one's gonna pick up Winston and be all right, this is my starter for the year. I don't see that happening.
No, definitely not.
You're gonna have to wait for my hot take, but I'm gonna give the mic to.
I mean, one of my favorite strategies to draft with, especially in redraft, man. And And I know, like, usually this is going to come with a young rushing quarterback, but late round QB, right? Like, late round QB is one of my favorite strategies. I implement it every single year, and it's done wonders for me, and it always will, because it's just effective and proven. You don't have to spend big because QBs score more points, like, so you can get late ones and then fill your top spots of your roster in places that people just can't cover the gap in off of waiver wires. And I think Jameis has a legitimate top 12 ceiling. Like, I don't see how you can't say he doesn't, because he's had one before, and now he's in a much safer and more productive offense than his years in Tampa. Yeah, and I do think it's going to be game manager Jameis, but game manager Jameis with 3 incredible receiving upgrades compared to what he had last season, and Kamara back, because don't forget he missed 6 games last year as well. Like, that's a recipe for Jameis Winston to just be able to cruise to consistent 20-point per game finishes.
All right, let's talk about how he's going to get there, because the way that Jameis Winston is going to get there is if it's the wide receivers that have to step up, right? So, look, Michael Thomas, from at this point of recording, nothing but positive vibes around Michael Thomas in camp this year so far, and so far throughout practices, and how far we've gotten in the preseason. You got Chris Olave on the other side, right? And you got Jarvis Landry in the slot. This shapes up to be a very good and balanced lineup, because you have the possession receiver. I think Michael Thomas and Keyshawn Johnson have a lot of similarities. So you have the kind of the Keyshawn Johnson possession wide receiver. You got the outside threat, the speed threat, but also like the overall good wide receiver in Olave. And then you got the slot guy. It's very standard. It's very this is how you're trying to build a team. So I think there's a lot of potential here. I think Michael Thomas could be one of the steals of the draft if he has anything that even resembles what his career has been. So, how are we feeling about these wide receivers?
Michael Thomas has never finished below wide receiver 1 in any year of his career, like, ever. He opened up as a rookie as wide receiver 7, then wide receiver 4, wide receiver 6, and wide receiver 1 overall before the ankle injury kept him out the last 2 seasons, essentially. I just think at his current ADP of wide receiver 30, and it's definitely increasing because now he looks good in camp and he's doing MT things, and all the beat reporters, kind of keep trying to step back and not say it, but like, Michael Thomas is back, and they're all watching it happen before their eyes, and he looks as good as he ever has, and the ankle seems fine. And whatever, like, coach doctors were making fun of that, calisthenics workout that he was doing in rehab, saying that if this is all that he's doing, he's not going to be able to perform. Well, he's proving all of those guys wrong by lighting up Lattimore and CJJ. And those are very good cornerbacks, right? So, yeah, I think Michael Thomas is a smash even at his raising value. In fact, he's never even finished below his true target value in points per game. In his rookie year, it was 15th. He finished as wide receiver 7 in points per game. In the second season, wide receiver 9, wide receiver 4 in points per game. Matched wide receiver 6 in points per game, and wide receiver 1 in points per game in true target value in the last 2 seasons he played. So, like, and yeah, there's no Drew Brees anymore. He hasn't really played without Drew either, right? Because he was hurt in Drew's final season. But I don't see a world where Michael Thomas isn't the same efficient Michael Thomas, and 100 targets is probably his floor.
Yeah, it's one of those guys where I feel like Brandon Cooks a couple years ago was a guy who was going in like the 9th, the 8th round.
And Michael Thomas is so much better than Brandon Cooks ever has been or ever will be.
And yeah, and then he just shot up when people were just like, why are we sleeping on this guy again? And I feel like that's going to be Michael Thomas.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, at wide receiver 30, even right now, if you draft this week, next week, which a lot of people are starting to do, right? Last week of preseason. So
that's crazy.
Like,
yeah.
I do think that it's not like there's no risk when it comes to Michael Thomas. Like, he's had this lingering injury that made him miss all of last season, and then he didn't get surgery, and then he ended up realizing that he did need to get surgery, and now they're saying he's healthy and all that.
But that's an organizational thing. They did it with Marcus Colston too.
I do think there is some significant risk that comes with drafting Michael Thomas, though. To think he's just going to come back, play 17 games, be fully healthy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's why
you draft him as the
Right. It's baked in.
You draft him as the wide receiver 70 or wide receiver 30, the 79th overall player off the board. You're in the 6th round, and you're looking at guys like Darnell Mooney and Michael Thomas. Like there's no other prediction that we can make because he's only ever been a wide receiver 1. We don't know what his floor is. We literally don't know because his ceiling is wide receiver 1 overall, and his floor is literally wide receiver 7 in points per game as a rookie. Like that's absolutely mind-boggling. So what are we trying to do? Like, what are we projecting? You can't say that he's, the risk is only the injury, which is baked in. The floor is, if the floor is wide receiver 30, then you're like, that's fine. But the ceiling is literally the best wide receiver in fantasy.
What about the guy?
That is literally the ceiling.
What about the guy across from him? Because we've been a little bit, we've been blessed or spoiled, some would say, with some very good rookie seasons. And a lot of people don't remember that rookies usually take a little while to catch on. So with that being said, how are you feeling about Chris Olave? This is a guy you take a chance drafting right now. You'd get him at a spot where I believe his ADP is undrafted for the most part. Is it not?
No.
I didn't check. I'm guessing, so maybe
Olave's even going higher than Landry is. Wide receiver 47, 114 off the board.
Okay, so that's definitely draftable.
And people are gonna. And okay. So I've even said it. My projections for Chris Olave's like ceiling of a rookie season is what we saw Devontae Smith do last year. So you're talking 65 catches for 880 yards and 6 touchdowns. Like I do think that's his ceiling as a rookie, but I'm also incredibly confident in this guy because the organization is. Like Dennis Allen's first move as a head coach was trading up into the first round and then trading 3 first-round picks worth of draft capital to get at 11 to draft Chris Olave. So that could be saying, like, I'll give a little credence to the risk that could be saying that they were concerned about Michael Thomas's tenure, but he's already had on a restructured contract as well. So like, I think they know what the future is, and he's a very good college prospect. He's not a great one, like taper expectations because Jamar Chase was a great transcendent.
You've seen those comps,
wide receiver prospect. Justin, yes, I have. Yeah. And Justin Jefferson was a great.
Sorry, what are the comps?
Percy Harvin, Jamar Chase, Nelson Aguilar, Jerry Jeudy, and Donnie Avery, whoever that is.
Oh snap,
Donnie Avery, wow.
Yeah, like Chris Olave, and part of the reason why those comps are so nice is because of similar offenses that they played on, where they were just on these incredibly high-paced, high functioning offenses. Like look at Ohio State's track record in the last 2.5 years and the upcoming draft class of how many first round wide receivers they have. Like even Jamison Williams had to transfer out of Ohio State because he couldn't get snaps ahead of Olave, ahead of Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, like Marvin Harrison Jr., like Emeka. It's just it's an insane wide. All of those guys are going to go in the first round, by the way. So like that's the type of competition that Chris Olave is playing with, and he still maintained a 26% target share flat. An incredible sophomore breakout, 12 touchdowns for I think just over like 880 yards, 17.5 yards per catch. He's been good for a long time, and I think Olave is definitely worth a look at that range at wide receiver 47. But I also think that Jarvis Landry is kind of going to be a problem when it comes to Olave's target share.
So talk about it.
Landry's coming off a season with a 24.7% target share and a 28% target rate, which were 18th and 8th respectively. He had 11.1 points per game, which was wide receiver 34, but his wide receiver target, or his true target value, was wide receiver 35. So like Baker just wasn't good last season. And I think Landry can, like, he's also essentially they're all the same receiver. Like they're all kind of the same guy. So it's going to be interesting. I still think that Michael Thomas is the alpha. And I think that Jarvis Landry is going to eat into Chris Olave's target share. And I think for him being the cheapest of the three, like I'm kind of looking at Jarvis Landry at wide receiver 53 and like 168th off the board and being like, I think I want Jarvis Landry on my teams. And you kind of look at all their ADPs and it's like every single Saint is being drafted at their floor. Every single one of them.
I agree.
Like Michael Thomas's floor is well above wide receiver 30. There's no way Jarvis Landry finishes below wide receiver 58 in points per game. Like, you know what I mean? They're all being drafted at their floor. So I'm in on the Saints, and it's not just a biased thing. Just look at their cost.
No, I agree. And we're about to get into a guy that we are going to be another guy who's basically a steal at cost. But before we do that, we are going to get into the Broto tip of the day. And today we're going to be talking about a new feature that Cass cooked up in the kitchen. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? In the Genius kitchen. Do you when you go to your live drafts, right? You go with paper right in front of you. You have to cross out. Things get messy. Well, guess what? Cass has built a digital version of this where when someone gets picked, you can eliminate them from your screen. You can see the rankings, and you don't have to ever worry about the paper again. So, Cass, why don't you take them through this magical device?
For sure. Look at this. So you can select, of course, your scoring format, whether you want it to be Superflex or not. You can check when it was last updated. We just pushed an update this weekend. So you get the player, the Broto rank, which is the what we call the true consensus, just adding up all our rankings and giving you a smoother, like a select knowledge of the masses when it comes to fantasy. Then the points per game for last year's rating as a star. So it tells you like 4.9 or 5, and McCaffrey is 4.6. And then the expected strength of schedule, which is made like calculated using the true matchup ranks, which is another tool in the app, in the FF by Broto app. Go download it, which it tells you whether the the defenses they're going to face perform better or worse against average, right? So if you hover, it tells you like this is an average schedule for Jonathan Taylor, or in this case, this is a bad schedule for Cooper Kupp. And you can just get drafted, click it, keep track on like who's left. You look at this. Oh, I'm going to draft Justin Jefferson, of course. So it's just to keep track, help you as much as you can during your draft.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing,
Yeah.
bada boom, as they say. That is
Like,
available on brotofantasy.com
this
as well.
kid is just a wizard.
Brotofantasy.com. Don't forget that brotofantasy.com is out there as well. Great site. Great site. We get sometimes
Some,
the app.
some good articles.
Oh, some
time to
very, very
time.
good articles. In fact, go check out another cheat sheet that you should know about is Matt basically summarizes the heat waves in cheat sheets. And that series is being published as we speak. And we have 2 divisions up there now. And by the time you listen to this, probably have 3 divisions up there. And boom. It's go. That is the best way to cram for your fantasy draft. I'll tell you that. All right, let's get into the running backs because we get Alvin Kamara here. And look, right now it seems as though Alvin Kamara is not going to be suspended at all. According to Adam Schefter, he's not going to be suspended at all. So it would be irresponsible to go into the season with the idea that Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended. I guess there's a chance, but you have to approach it. And you're still getting him at this point at that ADP low because people have gotten used to it. And you hear a lot of people trying to justify still taking him where they've been used to taking him. And one of the things they said was he became just a running back last year. He wasn't the receiver that made him special. And I see you, Cass. I see you. Not so fast. Yes, he was 6th in rushing attempts, but he was also 6th in the NFL in targets in the year where he was supposed to not be the guy. In terms of in terms of receptions. Now, is it the 81 that he put up 3 years in a row? No, but it's still a massive amount of targets. He finished 6th in points per game among running backs. And he is going to be the focal point of this offense because that's how this offense runs. I love me some Alvin Kamara, and I love the fact that his backup is Mark Ingram, who I don't have any qualms or worries about. Mark
Not
Ingram.
his backup.
No. Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's some insider information.
Just
With that being said, Cass, let's get into these running backs. How you feeling about Kamara and crew?
Motherfucker's gonna say Tony Jones in a little bit. Just watch. But yeah, like you have to agree that you can't pretend, like you can't what's the word I'm missing, like you can't assume he's gonna be suspended. All the reports say he's not, and he right now is just exploiting the inefficiencies on the ADP. He's being drafted at RB10 in Sleeper. Sleeper catches up faster than most other sites, so they're gonna be a little bit sharper. But even his down year last year, he was RB6 in points per game. And he got an 18.8 target share, which is better than most wide receivers. Like very, very good wide receivers don't get a target share that big. And Jameis does have his good amount of running back targets per game, which we've seen are pretty stable year to year. So I'm feeling very good about Kamara. Like he's getting the bulk of the work. Mark Ingram, we've seen the Mark Ingram Kamara combo, and it does absolutely nothing to Kamara. He's in his prime years, and I think he's being underdrafted right now. Not by a lot, but he's still being underdrafted. For Mark Ingram, he's a good backup, like whatever. Matt says he's not the backup. All right. I don't want to draft honestly either of the guys behind him. Maybe take
Ingram's
a flyer
dust.
or like Jones in the last round because Ingram's old, but that's about it. Like I'm not particularly excited about either.
No, for sure. Matt, what's your secret sauce that you got for us?
I don't really like Tony Jones that much either, but I do think
Okay.
Abram Smith is a name that you got like should.
Oh.
I'm not saying even draft Abram Smith, but that should be that when I finish my like redraft drafts this year, Abram Smith's going to be the first guy at the top of my watch list, like
Interesting.
100%. Yeah, and even if I have like a little bit of room to drop, he might just be like a waiver ad that I'll stash because, man, Abram Smith has the largest unrestricted or undrafted free agent contract of all time in the NFL. Like the Saints,
Oh, wow.
there's something called priority free agents. They're not undrafted free agents, they're priority free agents, where a team doesn't have the allotted amount of draft capital that they usually go into a draft with. Saints traded all those picks for Olave. And they, prioritize guys that they kind of know are going to go undrafted. Well, they gave Abram Smith a bigger signing bonus than most guys that went in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round. Right? Like he's making more money than guys that were drafted. So they like that kid. They have a lot of confidence in him. He's just an absolute truck of a human. Like he's Mark Ingram. He's Mark Ingram without the collegiate profile of being an Alabama running back. But like Abram used to play linebacker as well in college, and he had 48 solo tackles in 5 games in a 5-game stretch at one point. Like he's just a monster of a blow up the line in any direction. Like I don't care if my blocking's good, I'll push them forward type of running back. And that's what they need from Mark Ingram. And I don't even think Mark Ingram can be that anymore. Like he's 33 years old and was dusty when Kamara was out, 2.8 yards per carry. Sweet. And he doesn't really catch passes in that offense. So I'm not into Mark Ingram, but I'm into putting Abram Smith like on the top of my watch lists.
Guys, if you ever
I'm
wonder
not gonna lie to you,
why
bro.
Go ahead, Cass. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like he was not on ESPN's depth chart, so I just didn't look him up. So
Yeah,
I mean, raise your hand
the
if you're
reason-
one of the 1.8% of people out there who even know who Abram Smith is. And my guy Matt is out here dropping bars about his high school
Yeah,
stats.
well,
He's a linebacker. This is why Matt is called a fantasy encyclopedia.
And
Part of
hold
the,
on,
part of the
hold
reason
on
that
one second.
I'm actually paying attention to him is because Nick Underhill, who is like New Orleans head like beat right, like he's at every Nick Underhill has dropped his name a couple times. So like that was obviously the contract was originally what piqued my interest, but then seeing Nick talk about him, I was like, okay, well, this is the guy that like knew it was going to be Marquise Callaway before anybody else did, and like knew it was going to be, so.
But like, hold
Yeah.
on a second. While he was talking, I just looked at the comps for Abram Smith. Yo, not half bad, especially for a UDFA guy. He got Jordan Howard, Bernard Price, Jamal Williams, Joseph Randall, and Donta Foreman.
That's what I mean. He's just like a bruising back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Abram Smith's not a bad like athletic profile either. Like he's very capable.
All right, guys. Someone's gonna have to DM Abram Smith's mom because this is the number one. This is the most he's ever been talked
Facts
about,
been talked
on
about.
air ever. All right, so let's get into these tight ends. Michael Troutman.
Adam Troutman.
Adam Troutman.
Mike
Let's
Trout.
go over to Michael. Yeah, Mike Trout. Maybe that's what I was talking about.
Probably.
Adam Troutman. I mean, right now, as of this moment of recording, there are reporters at the Saints camp that say the Saints are leaving. I mean, he's listed as a tight end, Taysom Hill, but he is a positionless player. They're just going to use him all over the field. So who knows what's going on? Adam Troutman, I don't think you can trust him with Jarvis Landry in town? Is there any reason to roster this Saints tight end?
Dude, on underdog right now, I'm so confused as to why Taysom Hill is even being drafted, but he's being drafted at like tight end 25.
I think
Sometimes
it's
ahead
of
of guys like Austin Hooper, like ahead of Mo Alley Cox. These
Uh-huh,
guys,
ahead of tight ends.
yeah.
I mean, in baseball, in best ball,
What?
it kind of makes sense because maybe you can get his quarterback.
They're
points.
expecting that, but it's just not going to happen. He's taken
Yeah.
0 snaps at quarterback this entire preseason. He's literally not even playing with the QBs at all. It's Dalton is the backup.
Yeah, dude. It's just like, yo, what are you guys doing? Like, he's 32 years old and his career high in receiving yards is 457, and he was a quarterback last season. Like, what do you expect from this guy? Don't draft Taysom Hill. Don't draft Adam Troutman. Just avoid the tight ends. Like they got
Yeah, I agree with Mike.
Alvin Kamara with the 18% target share, like Cass pointed out, and then you got Olave and MT and Jarvis Landry. Like, it's just so silly to draft one of these tight ends. Jarvis Landry, sneak peek, is actually one of my highest rostered players in underdog right now in best ball
I like it.
drafts. His ADP is odd. I agree with Matt there.
All right, let's get into our bold predictions and wrap this bad boy up. I knew we were gonna run a little long on the Saints episode.
It's the Saints.
I'm
I'm here.
It's like the Jets episode, and I'm sure we'll run long on the Steelers episode as well. All right, so all right, Michael, since you're back from the motherland and you are on the big screen right now, what's your bold prediction?
You want to get a little crazy?
Let's get a little crazy.
Jarvis Landry ends with more fantasy points than Michael Thomas.
Okay, now
Wow.
that's just blasphemous. Remember, bold prediction is unpurposely a little bit of a
I think Mike low key believes that though.
exaggeration. Exaggeration.
No, this is just saying this is I'm very skeptical about Michael Thomas's health. It's been a very odd saga.
I'm gonna say Alvin Kamara ends as a top 6 running back as my bold prediction. I don't know.
Oh,
if
that's
very
so bold. You like, bro, get out of here.
Yeah, that's a little.
All right,
bit.
fine. Alvin Kamara.
Just say 1 overall. Yeah, just do it.
Alvin Kamara
Or
ends
top
the
3 at
season
least.
in the top 3 in rushing and receiving yards
There we
among
go.
running backs.
That's
in the
better.
NFL.
There we go.
Bow.
I like that
All
one.
right. All right, Matt, you're up next.
The
Abram
boldest of
Smith.
predictions. Yeah. Abram Smith has more rushing yards than Mark Ingram. There we go.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, I like it.
Like for a
Yeah,
guy who
that's
none of us knew, that's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Why not? I like. The
I
kid,
knew
man.
who he was just because of Matt.
Yeah, guys, I just so
Yeah, I
you
think
think,
you
this
edited something I
episode.
wrote about him.
Yeah.
I think Christian McGillicuddy's gonna have the most receiving yards. To
Trade
be
my
honest.
kitty, son.
Christian McGillicuddy, guys, you don't know who that is?
Shut up, Tib.
Go ahead, Kaz, you're up.
Like I told you to wait for it. I'm saying Jameis top 10 QB.
Oh,
go.
the hotness.
Book it.
We out
Not
here.
even
All right.
QB1. I'm saying top 10 though.
Silly boy.
Michael, that was strangely like
love it.
strangely
He's a
sensual.
Silly boy.
Silly.
Michael's
I mean,
being
he's on the big
Michael's
screen.
been in
Look at him.
Europe. Michael's been in Europe for like for 3 weeks. He's just becoming like European.
There are beautiful humans in Europe, in Greece. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I mean Greek girls. Greek thumbs up. My wife's a Greek girl, so I can say that. At BrotoFF Mike, at BrotoFF Casanova, at BrotoFF Tim, at Psychward FF, at BrotoFF Jason, at Broto Fantasy, and at FF by Broto on Twitter. Boom!
Nailed
Nailed it. We are going to finish up the NFC South with the Panthers and the most exciting quarterback battle of all time. See you later.
See ya.
Later.